Hi, I'm Hannah, and I'm in my bus Clementine right now. My friends and I just got back from a month-long road trip where we went all the way up the Pacific Northwest and back down again. It was such an incredible experience. It was amazing, it was scary, it was stressful, it was fun, and this bus just barely got done, so a lot of things went wrong. I'm going to be going through it either to act as help for somebody else who is wondering what might go wrong, what things they should prepare for, or just for people to laugh at because we were dying laughing and crying through many of these instances. One of the number one things that went wrong was our electricity. We're from Tucson, Arizona, where we get a lot of direct sunlight and it's hot, sunny most of the time. So going up north where it was really cloudy, we were not expecting to have such a drastic drop in efficiency levels from our solar panels. Our battery was not charging enough. I think I need more solar panels, but also I'm pretty sure that something is going very, very wrong that I have to find, because even right now with sunlight, we're hardly getting any power. And I think that a fuse popped, we're going to have to look, but we couldn't do any of that from on the road. One of the main things that came from that was our refrigerator dying, and our refrigerator dying meant our food going bad, and our food going bad meant we had so many grocery shopping runs. We threw away food more times than we want to admit and cried a little bit inside every single time we did because groceries are expensive. Part of the electric issue as well was our heater not working. I have a Chinese diesel heater that I got on Amazon. My dad has used these models before, hasn't really had any issues, but for some reason mine decided to stop working as soon as we left town. We got it working once when we were in Flagstaff, so we decided to keep heading north, and then of course it broke again. It's getting to be autumn in the Pacific Northwest, so we were absolutely freezing. Like waking up in the middle of the night, piling blankets on top of ourselves, doing whatever we can to get warm, blocking all the windows, trying to conserve the heat from the day, and without having a heater, we also had no way to get dry when it was rainy. So we were very damp and cold for a lot of the trip, which was really, really fun because being from somewhere like Tucson, rain was such a nice change, but it also is not fun having wet clothes all the time and no way to dry them. Moving on from the build electric, we had car electric. Right before leaving, I spent over $2,000 making sure that the bus was going to be totally safe and sound to make sure nothing would go wrong on this trip. So of course something went wrong on this trip. And we started finding that whenever we started the car occasionally, it would rev a few times before starting. And we thought, probably fine, it's an old car. And then we were in a parking lot and it didn't start at all. A kind stranger jumped our car for us, and then we didn't have any other issues for like another couple weeks. Until we ended up stranded at a park at 11 o'clock at night when the park had closed an hour prior and no engine. I managed to jump it. I don't know how he did it. We took it to a mechanic the next thing in the morning, and it turns out it was just the battery terminals were loose. They charged us 20 bucks just to tighten them up for us, which was amazing. They were so kind. But that wasn't as bad of an engine issue as we could have had, and I'm very grateful for that because we took the bus off-roading probably a lot of places that we shouldn't have.
We're going 5 miles per hour, Vanessa. Yeah. Pothole or cliff?
Oh no, pothole. Pothole.
Dear God. Oh.
Oh God.
It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be okay because it's gonna be worth it.
And if we had gotten stranded in one of those places, it would have been bad news. So I'm very, very glad that that was the only engine issue we had the entire trip. It was definitely a little bit scary to be stranded at a park with people walking around who you don't know in a strange town, but we're very, very glad that it was an easy fix. Going back to the whole idea that we live in Tucson with not much rain, I thought I sealed the roof really well. I mean, I went over it layer by layer. Every time it rained, I came out and checked for leaks and then resealed it, and we still had a leaky ceiling. So the skylight above the bed and the fan, which just so happens to be above the second bed, were both leaking. So we had damp sheets, blankets, pillows. We were trying to pull out bowls to catch the rainwater so that we wouldn't be wet while we were sleeping. But of course it didn't work out too well, especially because while we're driving and the bus is shaking, the water's flying everywhere. No bowl you can set down will catch the water that's flying all across the bus on shaky roads. So after studying van life and bus life for like 5 or 6 years before actually buying and finishing my own bus, I did so much research on where to sleep. And there's an app called iOverlander. If you travel a lot, I'm sure you've heard of it. If you don't, it's an app where basically people can check in at random places, leave reviews, pictures, what amenities there are, so that other people can find other places where people have checked in. You can read the reviews to see if it's safe or not, and you can go stay there and then leave your own review if you want. You don't have to, but it's just a really helpful tool for people who are looking for places safe to sleep at night. But what we didn't know before traveling was that sometimes those aren't accurate or they are outdated. Sometimes people say that they stayed there and then you show up and it's actually closed. We had multiple instances where we tried to show up somewhere where iOverlander said it was okay and we didn't really feel safe, or it turns out it had been blocked off and it hadn't been updated. Oftentimes we were driving around for an hour or so at night just looking for a safe spot to sleep. Another thing branching off of that idea is we wanted to camp a lot. I really wanted to go out into the forest. I wanted to find places to set up hammocks, our table to do some cooking outside. Unfortunately, I am not super equipped with my bus for camping yet, which I didn't know until experiencing it. I don't have a cell phone signal booster yet, so even a lot of the places where people say they had cell phone signal, it was not a strong enough signal for me to power a hotspot to do any kind of work online, which is what my job is. Another thing is we were so excited to go up into the tall trees, but if we were parked somewhere where we didn't have a whole lot of solar during the day, then we were dealing with the battery dying at night or having to switch on low power mode, which is not fun. We could not find a place that was easy to access and had solar. It's just basically non-existent types of camping. So if I'm going to want to be doing that in the future, I need to get a cell phone signal booster so that I can find beautiful places where I can still do my job, and I need to get extra solar panels so that even if I'm around tall trees and I can't get a lot of sun, I still have a little bit more energy intake. Moving on to the structure of the bus. I don't know how to build a bus. I built this bus, but I had no idea how to do it. I had no electrical experience, which my friend helped me with, thank goodness. I had no plumbing experience, which my dad helped me with, but I also had no building experience, and I did a lot of the build by myself. So, naturally, these little bars that hold up my things, they look like this. I just did the cheapest thing I could. I just have little shower rack hooks that they fit into in the wall, and those fell down a couple times. And these hold up everything on the shelf. So when these fell off while driving, everything in the shelf would fall off while driving, which, as you can imagine, was super fun. Also, dealing with the wallpaper that I chose. As you can see, my beautiful, beautiful walls, the wallpaper that I was so proud of picking out, is peeling off of my walls. I thought I used a strong enough adhesive to keep it up, but multiple different parts of my walls, not the structural walls, just the wallpaper on top, thank goodness, fell down while driving. And I have that stowed away somewhere so I can put it back up when the time is right and hopefully secure it a little bit better. Thank goodness nothing super important broke. None of my actual shelves broke. They've been supporting the weight okay. The bed, totally fine. Bench is fine. Next, moving on to clutter. Obviously in a small space, things get dirty very, very quickly. In a small space with 3 people, it is 3 times as bad. We had clothes everywhere. For one, we overpacked, but also it was hard to put things away. It was hard to access clothes, it was hard to go through all the bins to find what we were looking for. Just overall, we packed way too much stuff. So now that I'm back at my parents' house, they moved their things out of the bus and I've been moving the rest of the things that were in storage at my parents' house into the bus. I have been donating and throwing away so much because now that it's all my things, I have been trying to declutter so much. Just because, for one, we don't even use these things, and 2, it weighs the bus down. I've been preparing for this lifestyle for like 5 to 6 years, so I was getting rid of so many things. And I didn't realize how many things I still had. A lot of this is just realizing that if I use it once a year, get rid of it. If I use it twice a year, get rid of it. Only keep things that you use on the daily. There's a few things in here that I only use every once in a while that I keep just because I really, really like them. Like, I have my Nintendo Switch, which I haven't played in a couple months, but I can use it without Wi-Fi. It's a fun little pastime, so I'm keeping my Nintendo Switch even though I don't use it. But then I also had a bunch of hair products, like my hair dryer, a straightener, things like that that I rarely use because I'm trying to go no heat on my hair. Even though I use them maybe once or twice a year, I just decided to get rid of them. I had a box of nail polish, and then I realized that I hardly ever have my nails painted, so I got rid of all but just a handful of the colors that I liked, and then I combined it with my makeup bag to save space. There's just so many things you can do to make the space more comfortable to live in, and with 3 people, unless we all downsized a lot, it is just pretty much impossible to have a good balance with 3 people's things in here. But for a month-long road trip, it wasn't bad. Anything longer than that, it would probably be very, very uncomfortable to have 3 people's things in here. So the last thing that went wrong, that was probably one of the worst things in my personal opinion, was our plumbing stopped working. We are now out of water and we're having issues with the sink draining, so we have to figure this out before we go find a camping spot. I have since helped my dad unclog the drain, and I think that some of the silicone that I used to seal the sink got stuck in the drain and was keeping it from draining properly and was also preventing airflow, which was part of the reason it was backing up, but we couldn't do that and take it apart on the road. So what ended up happening was our sink was getting clogged and filled up with water that wouldn't drain for a day or 2. It had an awful smell. We couldn't do dishes, which is why we bought paper and plastic utensils, which is what I'm drinking out of now. Even though I was so excited to use the dishes that I had been collecting for this, I have a bunch of melamine dishes and plates that won't break, and they're so cute, and I couldn't use them, which broke my heart. And it just made me feel so dirty and gross. And I think that when you live in a small space, it is so important to keep everything as clean as possible. And when you have 3 people in here, yeah, things are gonna get dirtier, things are gonna get messier, which it's fine, we expected that before this trip. But not being able to wash dishes, not being able to wash your hands in the sink, having to go find restaurant bathrooms and everything, like, a sink is such a basic necessity for any kind of living, even just like a hand or like a foot pump sink people use, or just like a jug of water that people use with a drain that goes straight outside. Like, some kind of sink is so necessary, and not having that made me want to cry often. It was not fun. I am very, very glad that we're back home now and my dad's helping me fix that problem. That is definitely something that I wish I had double checked before leaving. I hardly used the sink before leaving because I hadn't moved in yet. And I wish that I had spent a week or so living in the bus before taking it out so that I would have used enough water to understand that there was an issue with the draining system. It would have saved me a lot of heartache and tears down the line. Now, despite everything that went wrong on this trip, which a lot went wrong, like, I would say that almost everything that could have gone wrong probably went wrong, I have absolutely no regrets. I would do it again. I would do it again with the same people. I would do it again for the same length of time, even knowing everything that went wrong. It was so amazing. We got to see so many things that we had never seen before, go places we had never been before, hike up waterfalls. We got to see bears, elk, and seals in person. We got to drive through some of the most beautiful streets and the cutest little towns. We got to drive down the Pacific Coast Highway. We got to see the redwood trees. I mean, it was really a experience for a lifetime that I will never ever forget, and I'm really looking forward to taking the bus back out on more trips. If you are looking into getting a bus or a van or any other vehicle that you want to convert to travel in, just know that things will definitely go wrong. I mean, I definitely had no experience, so more things went wrong than probably somebody who does have experience, but that's just going to be part of life on the road, but it is worth it. I have another video that's going to be coming out in the future that's going to highlight all of the amazing, wonderful, beautiful parts of this trip, just to show how much fun we had and how amazing it was and what incredible experience it was altogether. Thank you so much for watching. I am very, very excited to get this bus fixed up and continue sharing more adventures with you guys, but for now, I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay. Oh, can I have some lemonade first? Sorry, lemonade sounded so good.